Yes, hello folks, welcome along. We are live with season 3 of The Left Wing Back. Delighted to be back once again. We had our brief sabbatical over the festive period. We enjoyed it. Certainly I did probably too much and left myself with a bit of work to do for social hurling of a Friday night. But thrilled to be back. Games back up and going. Things coming thick and fast. And good to be back with you here on a Monday. And we will be every Monday for the foreseeable. We're going splitting our content kind of in two, so we are putting the streams out together live in terms of a hurling show and the football show. They're going to collectively, but then afterwards we will split those up on Spotify and Apple and all those things as well, because we're conscious that while we do have a lot of dual supporters, there are also people that probably might not have much interest in football in Carlow and might just like hurling and vice versa and so on and so forth. We're also dabbling into Camogie this evening as well, because Michael are in the Leinster Intermediate Camogie final on Saturday. That's at 1:30, so we'll be chatting to Breeze Nolan in a couple of moments' time. But I suppose just before we bring in our first guest as well, to mention that the show tonight is in association with Solar Signs in Bangladesh. Number one for your signage, garment printing and embroidery. Solarsigns.ie is the website. You get them on Instagram and on Facebook as well. So thanks to Nigel for jumping on and supporting us, and for doing a great job on our lovely sign us in at Cullen Park as well. We're going up in the world. My first guest, he's no average Joe. It is Mr. Joe Nolan. How are we doing?
Great, Kevin. I'm just after bringing it down there now, a slight notch. After mentioning about your great signage and where you're going. But delighted to be back, Kevin. Season 3, Jesus, it doesn't be long wrapping around.
Yeah, look, we had a few bob left over from paying you and Stevie last year, so we said, look, we might get a sign over.
Good lad, yeah. My check, by the way, bounced. I just want to say that. But anyway, no, keeping well, Kevin. Yeah, busy.
I took the springs off it, never know, mind.
I suppose a busy weekend, busy weekend with the start of the hurling and football. The end of the Coke Cup and start of the National Football League, and with other games going on, and it's great. It's exciting, isn't it? It's great to be back, and that the GA is rolling around again, and just gives you a great little bounce in your step. I think what we badly need in January as well, after what you said, after a heavy Christmas.
And there's a real buzz and excitement, because at long last, without kind of having any great deal of fear, you feel like we have normality, and there's no kind of we could sit back, because I think this is obviously it, and it's really strange because normality just became a thing overnight almost, and here we are. But it's fantastic. It's just great. Like, you forget how much you miss it with full crowds and none of this old nonsense. Like, it's just get in there, enjoy the game, support your team. And I think we are a bit more grateful for it as well,
Yeah, I think so, and it's going to be brilliant. I know Breach coming on there first to speak about Michael's big match coming up as well, and isn't it going to be great for them? Probably given the way the championships have, I suppose it's kind of messy for them. With club championship over the last year or so, it's the way it's ran, and with numbers and players, and some matches behind closed doors and everything, that they're kind of finally back to where they want to be, and it's brilliant. Look, I know we all still have to be very careful, and I know, I suppose, as a player, and Breach will talk about it, I'm sure, is that, for us, maybe as supporters, things have opened up, but I'm sure she's been, and the rest of the panelists have been probably very careful still, because they don't want to miss out on such a big match, by contracting COVID at this late stage, and putting them out. So, but look, it is great to be back, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant just in Netwatch Cullen Park there at the weekend, to see the crowds and being able to interact, and even to get a cup of coffee and stuff, normal stuff that we weren't able to do. So it's exciting. It's good.
Yeah, sure. Look, no better time to bring in Breeze Nolan. How are we doing, Breeze?
Not too bad. How are you, Kevin?
You're no stranger to the pod. Your debut occurred last year.
Yeah.
And you went so well, we brought you back a second time. How's things?
Yeah, I didn't make the big breakthrough. I thought Holly would be on to me after the last one. I'm happy enough to be back for round 2.
Look, Ron wasn't visiting today, but Bamrick's not doing too bad though. But he's everywhere. He's like Annie Geary going around. So
we must be getting paid for this one, Joe.
They're saving him for next week. You can't bring out all the big guns the first week. So Stevie's coming live and direct next week. Build the excitement.
We've got used sparingly is in brackets after Stevie's name. So he'll have me broke. But look, as Joe kind of touched on there, you were one of many players who continued to give us, I suppose, all that enjoyment on the playing fields over the past couple of years while we had the pandemic and stuff. So firstly, thanks, because it gives something to talk about to people. A little something to, I suppose, cling on to in terms of normality. And now we're
Mm-hmm.
back going home. But I suppose in terms of being careful and all, like given your line of work, you are coming into contact with people quite a lot and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
in one sense, that might have been a danger, but it's also probably a good thing for you because you got that human interaction where maybe a lot of people mightn't have had.
Yeah, exactly. And just talking about the crowds not being let in over COVID and stuff like that, I feel like I had a lucky pass because I was going to matches when they were all behind closed doors, getting to stand on the sideline. So it was great. I mean, like having that outlet when we weren't really playing, we were doing our own bit of training and we weren't going to matches. Nearly all my weekends are taken up with matches. So I was still getting the buzz from the matches when no one else was. So I count myself very lucky in that regard. But I suppose even just speaking about our own matches, like we've been very lucky. Our 2 draws for 2020 Club Championship in Leinster were in Michael, and then again for 2021 we've had our 2 games in Michael. So I mean, there's nothing as riveting as playing in your own club pitch. So to have all the usuals there on the sideline over the last 2 games is just brilliant. Like that's what we really missed. And there's people on the sideline that would have played like with us when I was a young one coming up, and people who would have played years ago, and families and friends. So it's great to have all them back on the sideline again.
Yes, class. And I suppose you're preparing for a Leinster final, which you only have a week like to prepare for. It is this Saturday, of course. It's Rhinos again, and it's 1:30 in Kinnegad. So I was trying to contextualise this before we went on air. So you played Rhinos in the 2020 Leinster Championship a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You won the 2021 Club Championship in between, and now you have them again a few weeks later in this edition of the Leinster final. I think I'm getting that right again, am I?
Yeah, so we won the 2021 Club Championship, went back to play 2020, faced Rhinos, they bet us. Then we came and played, obviously, in the middle of 2021 Leinster Club Championship. So it's been a messy few months, to be honest. But look, it was good, like having the 2020 like inter-provincials right before the 2021. It gives you a chance to see really where our strong points are, where our weak points are, what we need to change, and then be better built up for our 2021 campaign. It was just a bit messy with the timing, and with some girls that finished off the season playing for the 2021 club that weren't eligible to play, in the 2020, even though they'd been playing all year.
Yeah.
So look, it was messy, but we got through it, and it definitely set us up nicely to see where we were fixed for 2021. So we'll be going into this match on Saturday now very positive.
Yeah, that's mad. I hadn't actually thought of that really, because that's a unique kind of a thing, I suppose, that we wouldn't have saw it. Let's be honest about it. Bar it was kind of maybe the odd time with minor leagues and stuff going back if we didn't get the fixtures played in the calendar year, but it's very rare and it does not happen that often. So that was probably a little bit disappointing for some of those younger players that obviously were on the team.
Was. Yeah, the likes of Amy Nolan there fought hard all year to get her number 10 jersey, and she wore it all year and wore it very well, and she was a really strong, dominant player for us. And then all of a sudden 2020 came and she was on the line, so it's hard for girls like that. And as I said, that was just the nature, and these were the things kind of every club had to deal with COVID. I mean, we went a full year without playing anything at all, so we kind of had to take what came, make the most of it.
And I suppose in terms of yourself, I don't know if you started that county final, I don't know if it was injury related or not, but you certainly, I suppose, have had your work cut out to try keep on the team, and I know that's probably due to a variety of commitments, I would guess.
Yeah, kind of. I suppose I've been getting it from all angles this year. Obviously, I had surgery last January on my back, and I suppose the whole way through that rehab phase and deloading phase, all I wanted to do was get back on the pitch. And I suppose the first glimpse of being pain free and getting the all clear, I went full throttle. Probably did too much too soon. And like me being a physio myself, just goes to show you how easily you get caught up in it when all you want to do is play, and all the signs are telling you not to. So I suppose it was something that really made me empathise with my own clients and my own kind of athletes that I work with when they're buzzing to get back. The drive that they have, and it's hard to control at times, So I suppose a mixture of that and my work commitments, it's left me on the line. But do you know what? I've got a completely different perspective on it this year. And obviously being heavily involved in the committee as well. Like, I'm getting to see Michael Camogie from the sideline, which of all my years playing Club Camogie and County Camogie, I haven't seen. And not saying that in a cocky way at all, but like I haven't. So it's given me a really good perspective on it, and I see what goes on. I see what we look like as a team set up and where we can improve. And you're getting a chance to see younger girls come up and see where they're going to slot into the team. So it's definitely a positive thing. I mean, if any player who's been starting their whole senior camogie campaign is on the line and they can't make their place back in the team. I think that's a really positive thing.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose, speaking of improvements, what do Munster do differently this time around against Rhinos? What were, some of those learnings that you feel you kind of have to take from previous encounters? And, are they easy fixes? Are they simple? How do you go about doing that?
I think a huge thing with us is confidence. Like people will always commend us on our county titles and getting to the All Ireland and winning Leinsters in the past and stuff like that. And it's not that we don't accept that and we don't acknowledge that and think that it's brilliant. But as I said on the last podcast, like the wins in the past don't guarantee your wins in the future. So every day we go out, like we're nervous and we're afraid of messing up and we're afraid of letting people down. And I think sometimes we need to just learn to let the shackles off and just play like we can. As I said, there's a lot of talk all the time about what we've done in the past, but sometimes that doesn't register with us, that like we deserve to be in the position that we're in. When Leinster finals come, we should be taking them in our stride. But I think sometimes the day can get to us, and that's only natural as players, I suppose. But I think if we just got a little bit more confidence in ourselves, just went out and dictated the game from the start, we tend to sit back and jump in then. Sometimes it's too late, but we're very reactive rather than just going out and dictating the game and forcing it the way we want it to go.
Yeah, and maybe occasionally slow starts are something to maybe work on. Now, look, I didn't see the game last weekend or the other Leinster Championship game, so I can't really comment on how quick you got out of the blocks or not, but I have seen it a few times where that can be a stumbling block for you. And generally, when you do get out quickly and build up a head of steam, it's very hard to stop you. So, look, it goes without saying every team wants a good start, but it's definitely something that I would have saw anyway.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that, like, that's a huge difference between, say, the 2020 interprovincial campaign and this year's. Like the last two games we played, we started off really well. We got scores up on the board within the first few minutes. We got goals in early, and that's what really let us take off. And we start to relax then. And after 10 minutes, we're playing the best camogie we've ever played as a group. So I suppose that is one thing that we did change from last year's campaign, as we are jumping off the mark quickly and we are getting the scores in quick. And as I said, it's worked for us so far, so hopefully it'll work again on Saturday.
I think a big thing is really reaffirming the positives in general, right? And that might sound very basic and all, and you mentioned what you've won and all that, but I suppose there is a large number of girls on the panel that wouldn't have been around for a lot of that. So and again, in the moment, it's all very difficult, and they are big occasions. It's natural, right? But I suppose when you get to know the player involved and what it takes to get them going, then you're on a winner. And I think that's a huge learning from a coaching perspective and a coach's point of view. And you've a lot of very wise heads that have played in big games and stuff. So I'd imagine it's probably a case of passing that across to the younger folk. But that's not to say that the more experienced players don't suffer a little bit that way also.
Yeah, and I think we're very lucky this year. It's probably it's the first year kind of that I've noticed it, and again, it's probably from spending more time in the sideline and observing things. But we've such a broad kind of skill base and knowledge base and wisdom base this year. Like we've the older, more experienced girls leading it and using the experience to kind of drive things along. But then we've the younger girls coming on that are just so fresh and they've absolutely no fear, and they just go for it. They go for everything, and they're teaching the older girls a thing or two, and it's kind of filtering through, which is really positive. It's not like the older girls are bringing people along and carrying people along. Like it's a give and take. Like we're gaining so much from the younger players coming through. Kind of, it reminds you of what you were like at that age when you're just buzzing to be on the senior team, and you don't fear anyone. Like they don't know any of the players that we've been fearing since we're 16 and 17 that play with the likes of St. Ryan's and Kilmessan and all these teams that we would have played. The younger girls don't fear them, so they just go out and they do their thing, and it's admirable to see.
Joe, just to bring in on this slightly, right? So it's something that we would have remarked on before, and I always use this example of the schoolyard mentality. When you're in primary school and whatever you're playing at break time, you're enjoying it. Like I always have great memories of primary school, whether it was soccer or break time, wherever we were doing, you're relaxed and you enjoyed it. Whereas maybe underage championship games, then I looked at that differently. Then it's only now I think back, why can't or why shouldn't you have the same perspective of that? You can still take it seriously, right? But still enjoy it, okay? And
Yeah.
even this is going to sound ridiculous in making this comparison, but you're the way you go out and you enjoy your social hurling, right?
Mm.
You're going out there with that bit of freedom because you're there to enjoy the game. But ultimately, why should you not have some sort of similar emotions or feelings towards a big game? Because at the end of the day, it is a game, and you can still do your job and take it seriously without kind of being haphazard, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose I think Breeze made a good point there about the younger players and that idea of no baggage. I suppose we all remember ourselves even playing above your age, and I'm sure Breeze was saying coming up that she felt maybe less pressure because there wasn't less expectation on you. I think a lot of it is self-imposed. We get into the mindset of there's an expectation on us, and it was nice to hear what Breeze said there about her involvement. Maybe her other involvement now in the club in terms of looking at the bigger picture and seeing different things coming on and all. And I think sometimes when you get an outside perspective, you're outside the bubble a little bit, it actually can kind of, once I take your mind off things, but it can maybe ease the pressure on you as well. So yeah, I suppose, look, it's a lot of it is in our own heads. It's the mentality we bring to it. But and look, you can hear, like, look, you can be both ways in that. Like, I mean, some people need that focus. They need that just, completely zoned in. As you've played with lads, and I played with lads and Breach players, who come into a dressing room and they're kind of cock of the hoop and they're having a laugh. And yeah, when they go across the white line, they're just gung ho and they're completely focused. So it depends what suits all, if you get me. You know what I mean? It's what you're happy with in order to maximize yourself on the pitch. It's just an interesting point there. I think I do think that little bit of freshness will be something that maybe St. Ryan is, in terms of maybe extra players, that I think maybe come the weekend that you might have a little extra edge in terms of maybe those one or two players coming in under the radar that might be, I know they've been seen already, but that little freshness and that little bit of unknown sometimes can be a difference. I know, I suppose from a game point of view, I suppose you'll have to be very wary. I suppose it likes of, say, from Freeze, likes of Kay Kenny, like, she's just unbelievable. And I suppose I think I'm right. The last time I think she got 8 or 9 frees against you. Was that correct? The last day she hit a lot of frees. If I'm thinking right, Breeze, is that correct? I think she got 9. Was it 9, 8 or 9 frees she got? And I suppose when you have a free take of her caliber, it's probably something as a backline that you're going to have to. Would that be something that you're going to? I know none of us try to give away frees, but it's something that you're going to be very conscious of with a free taker of her caliber, I suppose, just to be watching your tackle and stuff like that. Because from my own experience of this year with Ballinkillen and looking on from the sideline, your tackling was ferocious. It was unbelievable. Like, it was refreshing to see. But I suppose it's that fine line, isn't it, between the aggressive and the the fouling, I suppose, that we have to be careful of. But yeah. I suppose, just on a separate note, just before I let Breach back to talk there, I just, to compliment, I know I worked up in that area for a good number of years. And I know before the match a couple of weeks ago, I was getting a lot of messages about where the pitch was and so on, and directions, and even a few about what are some people wouldn't maybe, know Michael too much, but like, the respect that they have there is unbelievable for you. The absolute top respect for you, and it's brilliant to see that you're, that respect. I mean, we have it in Carlow, obviously, as clubs. For your record speaks for itself, but your respect is is outside of the county, and while it gives there's a weight of expectation there. As I said, it's great to have that expectation because they see you as such a threat and such a it's going to be a massive tussle. So look, just best wishes to you. I know I rambled a little bit there, but just best wishes to you at the weekend anyway.
Thanks a million.
Yeah. No, pass on that as well. Any last thoughts, Breeze, before we let you go?
No, that's it. As I said, I'm just looking forward to Saturday, and hopefully we can bring a bit of excitement to Carlow and come back with a cup. So that's our aim.
And just before I do let you go, you are with the Carlow Hurlers, so that's and your brother's in there and stuff. So what's that like? I have to be honest, right? I'd imagine there is a bit of slagging. Let's be straight up, we're all human. How are you coping with that? It's probably more so, how's he coping with that? Is he more so?
Well, as I said to Jamichael, I'm going in there as a physio. I'm not going in there as your sister. This is my career now, so
that's right. Yeah, fair. Well, you're enjoying it anyway. Yeah?
I'm delighted. yeah, I'm delighted to be in there. It's obviously a huge thing for me and my career. Like people wait lifetimes to get in with county setup, so I'm delighted that I'm in there. And look, it's very intense, but I'm learning loads. And obviously, I followed the hurlers ever since Jermichael started playing, so it's great to be involved and it's exciting. And hopefully, it'll last another while longer. So yeah, I'm
So
delighted to be in there.
Kinnegad Saturday and Ballycran Sunday.
Yeah. And like the furthest pitch they could send us to. So they must have known I had a Leinster final the night before. They were like, the physio won't be able to look after any of the injuries. We'll be safe.
Yeah.
To be
She'll
quite honest,
be propped up on the sideline herself.
I think
Yeah,
they don't
sleep
know
on the
what
bed.
be very straight about it. But listen, come here, we'll leave it at that, Bridge. A pleasure as always. The very best luck, and we'll
Thanks,
chat
Kevin.
to you again soon, all
Thanks
right?
a million. Thank
Well
you.
done, Breach.
Here we go, Bridge Nolan. Standing by is Frank Foley, former Carlow hurler, winner of what's Frank got? Is it 9? Is it 9 medals at Rangers? Senior championship medals, Frank?
7.
7. Okay, I thought you were a bit further. Anyway,
I don't class. I was there last year, but I wouldn't class that as.
You're being diplomatic now.
Sure. Listen, I was only helping out. You'll help out your club as best you can. That's all it is.
Yeah. Listen, you're a good one, boss. Great memories, obviously, not just with club, but with county as well. And you are with the 20s this year too, aren't you?
Yeah, I went in. I got the call off Martin Bourne. Sure, it was beginning of December. So I've known Martin since he was back with us since 2010, 2011. And it's great to be part of a team where there's someone madder than me in there. So, and that's Martin. So it is. So listen, they're a great bunch of young lads. So you realise how old you are. It's when there's a son of a father that I used to hurl with in there, Kyle Foley, and I think it was 10 or 12 years ago. He was mad to play in the goal, so he was. And I remember Robbie asking me, we were in Antrim one day, and he asked me for a jersey, and it says 12 years ago I gave the jersey to Kyle, and he still remembers it. Like so, and the young lad is going to be. Sure, he's pushing. He's a very young chap, and he's a topper of a keeper, so he is. But like all he would do is try and help these young lads and push them on that they're going to try and play senior. And by the way the young lads are going so far, they're all mad to play senior. So the future for Carlow hurling is looking bright with these anyway.
Good stuff. So that's you were giving me a little bit of a timeline off air about when things are getting up and going and what's happening. So maybe give that to us here while we're on air as well.
Yeah, sure. I think they're in the league. There's a kind of a league basis, so they have Kildare and Laois in that, and that's starting on I think the 17th of February. So they have 2 rounds in that. So it depends on then what way to finish up in that. You'll get another game. So if you win your 2 games, and you'll be playing top of the other group. So it kind of works that way. And then you have the 2nd of April. Then is the big one again, Westmeath and Carlow. So that's it. Win or lose, you win that day, you go forward. Lose and you're gone. So like it's quick enough. It's when we started back, you would have said, "Geez, you have 4 or 5 months," but like it'd be gone as quick as like realize from probably tomorrow you only have 8 weeks left. So this thing flies, and as I say about time, like it's since Christmas. Here's a month gone from tomorrow, like, and it's like only Christmas is the other day. So time flies, and I think the older you get, the harder it goes.
Mm-hmm. And can I just ask, and I'm actually not aware of what the ruling is, and if it's the same even for football, but do you know that rule where a 20, if you play senior, can't play 20s? Is that still there?
That's gone, yeah, because we have 6. We have 6 that's part. We have Shafiq Fitzpatrick, Conor Kehoe, Fiach O'Toole, Scott Tracy, and Jack McCullough, and what was the other one from Bagnestown?
Darren Nolan?
No, Niall Bulger.
Niall Bulger,
yeah. So they're a big asset. Like we haven't seen much of them now because they're training with the seniors, and it's hard to expect them to do both. But to get them back, well, as it is, we have 28, so we have this training, and they're going to push. It'll be hard to pick a team at the end of it. Like, and at the end of the day, you want your best team to go forward for Carlow. So. The way that they're going, they're just making it hard on us. One time in Carlow, your 15 was nearly named, so it's good to have, and you have a good spread. Like in my day, like you had nothing from Bourne Rangers. We have 3 on the panel like that, which is serious. Like, and as I say about Burn Rangers, the three more well held to hurl.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That is
It
absolutely
is, yeah.
brilliant.
'Cause there's great work being done up there. So there's three very good chaps, and one of them is a goalie. Like, and I thought he was first when you get used to names, I wouldn't know half the young lads. I always thought it was Jake Summers. I thought he was a Bagnestown when it was Summers, but I couldn't believe he was from Burn Rangers, and he's a very good chap.
That's brilliant. Now, and I'm glad that role is gone as well, because that was a joke. Like, that was killing.
Yeah.
It was killing our county and lots of other counties. And yeah, I remember that year it came in. Jimmy Hyland, who's obviously now a Kildare senior footballer, like, he was caught. They won the 20s All Ireland, and he definitely would have played senior with Kildare, but there was a hold off, I think. Like, you know, it was all over the gaff. But look, we are where we are, as the fella said, and it's good to hear that you're getting on well. Alfie's in there too, I think, as Slater, is he?
Alfie's there, yeah. Alfie's doing a lot of the coaching now. Alfie, he's probably still good enough to be playing senior inter-county. Like, you'd see him now pick on him, like, so there's not. But he's after changing. He's made up his mind, like, and he's like, you take it. Alfie's going a long time, so he's, as I say, and that's probably the other side of it. He went in at a young age, and you have to have a life to it at the end of it, like, and you have to have different things, like, and he's actually been coaching Bagnestown minors under 20s the last couple of years, and he's very good. So he is very good at what he does.
He's brilliant, yeah. Like, I'm at, like, I think, what was he, 20 maybe or 21? Like, I remember
19.
playing cornerback. Yeah.
He was 19 when he played. When I talked about it, he said he was 19. Like, so I won't mention his age now. He's 10 years younger than me, because I only talked about it yesterday. But like, that's a long time, and that's the other side of this. Like, lads are getting younger and younger coming onto senior panels, and it's a long, hard slog. Like, back in our days, you only train 2 nights a week, and you had a match of a Sunday. Like, now you're 5 and 6 nights. Like, it's a serious commitment to give any county team now. Like, one time, Carlow back in the day, you train 2 nights, so you're not going to win anything. But now, to get anywhere, you have to be doing the 5 and the 6 nights. Like.
And you know what? It brings us nicely into talking about the senior setup, because obviously there's a lot of new blood and they're doing well, but there is a lot of absentees as well. So, you know, you mentioned Alfie, like, David English is opted out, Dion Wall is opted out. I don't know, is Federer's actually out at the moment, yeah?
Yeah, Eddie Byrne is out as well, yeah.
I was thinking that, but just wasn't 100%. So,
yeah, he is, yeah.
Like, when you think of what lads have given, I suppose, number one, and what you still have to give, I'm not really... I have an understanding for why you wouldn't want to commit to it, because that's an awful lot of your life to give up. Like, and again, people will counter argue that, won't they, and say the window is so short. So, you know, I think a lot of people Frank, sorry, just before you go in, I think a lot of people are saying the window is so short, or lads that maybe didn't have to give what the current crop have to give, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think
sorry, go on, Joe.
No, I was just going to say, Kevin, I think in Carlow it's a different window. Like, you know, you look at some of those lads who are, well, it's no guarantee, but like, if lads are committing at 18 and 19 to a county senior panel, there's a good chance that those lads could be there till they're in their 30s, because of the volume of players that we don't have that massive amount of numbers coming through. And there is, you know, for the other counties, and I always would have made the point about Johnny Nevin. You know, it's incredible. You actually look at the stats, and we all know Johnny played, you know, for a long time. But if you actually look at his stats, he nearly hurled as many games and played as many football games as Henry Sheffield and Stephen Cluxton combined. You know what I mean? So, like, there's a longevity in smaller counties. There's a huge ask and an emphasis, and especially in a dual county as well, on the likes of their bodies. Like, and Frank knows from being a dual club, and, you know, he spoke about Alfie. Like, Alfie playing senior football and senior hurling at club level now is a massive commitment. So, you know, the window isn't so short. You know, maybe in some of the other counties, you know, the window is a bit shorter, but in Carlow, for some of them lads, it's a long window. You know what I mean? And you mentioned a couple of the lads there, like David and Eddie, David and Eddie Byrne, like, they're both got engaged this year, and, you know, I know Eddie was building a house and stuff like that. It's hard, you know, and there's a lot that goes on. I mean, you know, Frank will tell you with the 20s, and I even saw it myself last year, just for 1 year. Oh my God, like, you're talking 15, 16, 17, 18 hours, you know, a week is the commitment, like, and it's colossal, like, you know, it's colossal.
It is. Yeah, it's getting longer. Like that's the way it's gone. It's the way it's gone. There's more and more. If you have to get up to match these other lads, it's putting in more and more and more and more time, and it's hard. It's hard for young lads in these days, and especially like with social media and WhatsApp. Like you can get found out if you do like the least little thing. Like in our day, like John and Willie used to go like down to Kilteely, down to Bowes, and have a drink. Nobody would know, like, but you can't do that now, like, because there's someone taking a picture, there's someone, and next thing is everywhere. So it is, but like that, and that's the strain for me. That it's just, to me, the fun. You do it for the fun, but like you have to have kind of some kind of a step back to say, right, let loose in your own privacy, that it doesn't go, because you see it as if they're out, such as out having a drink. It's like as if you're saying, just he shouldn't be drinking, but like you have to think at the other side of it too. It's the pastime as we all know, and if you don't like it, a pastime, would you do it?
And that's it, I suppose. Yeah, I like that. That's a good spot actually. Bowes in Kilteely. I was only there for the first time a few months ago. Grand Prix de Guinness. And I suppose we give the Hilltop a show out as well, because we ended up in that place. So, and not the easiest place to go out of. You're lucky if you come over as well.
No. You might as well stay in it.
It could be a week thing, like So like, so here in the here and now, then we're looking at league campaign, obviously getting up and going on Sunday. Keogh Cup final yesterday. If you want to touch on that briefly, by all means do. It's probably, an expected kind of result, because I think where we are and Westmeath are now has maybe changed a little bit over the last couple of years, right? So again, it's a Keogh Cup final as well. But if you look at even, what they put out, slick established side, a really settled side, like it looked to me anyway. But what were your thoughts on yesterday, I suppose, before we do go on to this weekend?
Yeah, well,
Joe.
Yeah, no matter. Well, yeah, I probably had more. I suppose first off, the Keogh Cup is brilliant this year for the lads, because with so many new bodies in there, and we had a lot of new bodies. Again, just talking about last year and my experience of it. When you didn't have challenge matches, you didn't have the ability to play the Keogh Cup, to look at lads, to give lads a run, to try formations, etc. It was difficult. So the Keogh Cup has been a success for the management team and the panel in itself already, regardless of winning yesterday or not, because of the game time. It afforded the management and the lads to get a look at lads. So that's the first thing I'd say. And I thought yesterday, I did think Westmeath were deserving winners. We had a lot of bad wides in the first half. I think we had 10 wides at half time. A lot of poor wides. I think they had 10 over the 70 minutes. I think we hit 15 or 16. Probably the best team did win. They probably created a goal, maybe two or potential goal chances that we didn't seem to create yesterday. Now, it was interesting to see, obviously, with some lads hurling in Fitzgibbon in coming week, and especially thinking of probably our two big guns up front. Like Chris played the first half, and then Mouse came in the second half, and they didn't get any game time together. So, throw them into a forward line maybe, for the full 70 minutes, and it's a different picture you're getting. I did think our hurling was a little bit maybe more sluggish than Westmeath. We got caught a little bit ponderous in the ball a couple of times. But you don't know what the lads' training load maybe was like during the week, or different things going on. So and it was winter hurling at the end of the day. There was a lot of mistakes, on both sides, but we were just a little bit maybe sluggish in how we moved the ball, I thought. Big pluses for me, and I don't like taking out, but big pluses for me were a couple of the younger lads who came in and performed really well. I thought John Doyle was very good under puckouts. Big, strong man, big man, had a couple of shots. I don't think he got the scoreboard from memory, but he was willing to take on a shot or two. Was a go-to man for their puckout, and such that they moved. Tommy Doyle, I think, was onto him from the start. You know what I mean? The kind of the new, his physicality bring a big threat. Fiacres Patrick and Conor Keogh, again, two lads coming up, and one of them actually is with the 20 still. For lads who were kind of in their debut year, Conor came in a little bit last year with us, but this is more or less his debut county senior year. and they hurled a very, very solid 70 minutes as well. You know, there was other lads like, you know, but those to me were very positives, if you know what I mean. And I think we could see them feature heavily in the league. You know what I mean? I think they'll be looking to establish themselves in the league. But other than that, like, it was typical winter hurling. You know, there was typical winter hurling. I mean, our style hasn't, you know, our style is our style. It's nearly a template now for all intercounty teams, how we defend and how we attack. You could see the sharpness. In fairness, like, I do think we're a different animal if we have our two big threats up front in terms of Chris and Mouse. Mouse looked, Chris had a good first half, but Mouse looked exceptionally sharp when he came in, and the couple of frees that he knocked over were actually fouls on himself. You know, such was the kind of the danger. And sorry, we did create one goal chance. He got in actually, and the goalie made a good save. He came in on the touchline and struck it off his right hand side, and the goalie made a very good save. So, you know, little things like that. You know, I don't think Tom and Christy and Pat Murphy and the lads will be too unhappy with yesterday, in terms of what they got to see. And I know I'd say they'll probably look to sharpen things up in terms of their hurling come for next Sunday, and obviously, you know, the things they'll tweak things in terms of team maybe and stuff like that, and what way to start. But I think they got a lot out of Kehoe Cup. I think they'll be very happy and have maybe a better idea of where they are in mind now going up to Down next week than maybe the start of the league last year. You know.
Well, I suppose from being up in Kilmessan, that was for a reason up there at that. But you remarked on John Doyle and his ability to win ball, and I was really impressed with that. I think he got maybe 2 or 3 consecutive puckouts clean now, and the lad hanging out him, like, he was no midget, he was a big man, you know. So that's a good option to have on the puckouts, to win that clean ball directly. And I think there is still a place for the like a John and stuff, right? Because yes, I think he'd be the first to admit maybe he isn't the most mobile, but he is very good on that type of ball, and his distribution is actually quite good as well. I have to comment on that. The 2 lads you remarked upon, very, very impressive around the middle of the field. Keane Doyle up in Kilmessan, two great points. Might end up in the corner, even though he's very good on the wing. But again, he's adaptable. We've seen him play fullback for the club. So
Sean Murphy there, like, came in at halftime yesterday, and like, he's going to bring a new dynamic. You know, Frank, obviously, you know him from club hurling from years facing him, and he's just so direct. You know, he's just such a direct runner, and he's going to cause trouble. You know, and carry ball in that forward line as well. I mean, you know, it might take some of the weight off some of the other lads as well. And you know, he's a good hand on him in that half forward line as well as a primary ball winner as well. So
if he's able to get ball and run with ball and hand it off to the 2 boys, there's no 2 better boys that will get goals for you, and that's what will be a big advantage to him. Like, if you have a lad like him running at you, sure, it's either pull him down, and that's all he can do him, because he's as hardy as you'll get. Like, I'd say the harder you hit him, the harder he'd go. That's the kind of a lad he is.
So we mentioned it's Down and it's Ballycran again. All kinds of talk about is it deliberate? Like, what's wrong with Nori? Did Nori sink or something? I know sometimes it does be tricky underfoot, but it's quite a trek, and it's tightish enough pitch wise. Look, it is what it is. We kind of have to get on with it or whatever. But it was certainly a difficult assignment last year, Joe. Obviously, you were involved then. So what are we looking at here? What's the winnings and losings of this one, I suppose?
Sure. Anytime you go, like, I played them only once. I'd say it was the Christie Ring, and they were kind of, you had to play that time. There was a rule, you had to play at your closest venue. So we played in Newry. Any other time I played them was you were brought up, we had to go onto the ferry and come across. Like, one day we stayed in, I think it was there in Newry, and we came to go to the ferry, and there was this bike race. So we were held up, and we got to the ferry was gone. So we had to wait a half an hour. We got back over. The game was delayed a half an hour. So it did. So, like, the ref was pushing. He said we just got straight off the bus, jerseys on, out. And we were getting bet up until 10 minutes, and we got probably 2 goals to win it in the end. But they're clever at what they're doing. They're bringing you that round trek. But Tommy and Christy are clever enough now, and I'd say they'll have their times right to know to get there, to get everything right, and it's come in the frame of mind to beat him. Like Downer is not as bad as everyone thinks they are. They're not in Division 2 just for the sake of it. They're a hard team, and it was when Kevin Ryan was saying, anytime you head north, it's quite hard to get a win. And it was the same with Antrim when you got them. If you got them at home, they didn't travel well. But when you got them at home, they're very hard to beat.
Yeah, I think having a couple of things like going on last year, I suppose, like, when you look at it, right, we lost, and it probably, put us under a bit of pressure in the league. But, we're only a puck of a ball from beating them. We played for, I'm trying to think, we played for over 35 minutes with 14 men, with a black card and a sending off, or a card and a sending off. And we still nearly managed him. Jack McCullough, just, geez, the keeper pulled off an unmercifully good save, if you can remember. It's like unbelievable. Like, Jack did everything right, and a puck of a ball, and we could have won that. So I think what they have as well, and we found out last year, I suppose, in terms of an advantage, is that you have their wing backs and their long range shooting. I know it's like no more than put Diarmuid Byrne in say Dr. Cullen Park. He knows his range. He knows where he is on the pitch. And last year they popped over a good few long range points against us because they knew their range on the pitch. I know that sounds strange, but your home pitch. It's no more than you, Kevin. If you were hurling down the Super Bowl, I know you're in Killeshin now, you're kicking frees, you're up in Killeshin, you know where you are on the pitch, how the wind carries the ball, everything. And it was little things like that as well, with the tightness of the pitch, they knew where they were on the pitch. I think a big thing last year that the lads will be conscious of, and I know styles of play can change and players can come and go. Their centre back last year, hurled loose, and we kind of, we knew he'd hurl loose, but even when we had the 15-on-15, he was quite influential, but really was a massive influence in the game then when we did lose the player, you know what I mean? And I think they'll be looking to, and Down would have played with that system even for the last 2 or 3 years, where they try, obviously, at inter-county level now, most centre-backs, or a lot of them, are hurling kind of loose and free now anyway, because the way the nature it is around the middle. But he's a great ball player, really, really good ball player, and very instrumental in setting up a lot of their key scores last year. And I think we'll be looking to close them down. But especially that long-range shooting, I know it sounds in the modern game like a lot of lads are striking, but when you know your pitch and you know where you are on the pitch, you're far more confident. And sometimes maybe last year we sat back a little bit from them, thinking that they were going to play a ball in when they went for their own score and popped it over. So I think the lads, and I think you mentioned there, Frank, I don't think you'll find any two or sharper management team than what we have there at the minute in terms of taking learnings from a game and having their homework done, in terms of preparation. I don't think the lads will be found wanting in any way like that. And I like I said, I think we'll be going up with having learned more from last year than maybe Down will have in defeating us,
And they're out with Naas. Is the other in the final Saturday, is it?
Yeah, Saturday, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's fair going from
series,
So in fairness now, I think James Hickey has promised me he's going to come on next week, right? But he touched on something, and we can talk just a little bit about before we let you go, Frank, move on to the football show. But like, if you look at the statistic, and he brought it to my attention, and it wasn't until he said it, I was like, wow. Like, so he's been in Croke Park with Rangers in an All-Ireland intermediate final, an All-Ireland senior final, with Glenmore, an All-Ireland junior final, and now Naas, an All-Ireland intermediate final. And I'm probably leaving out one or two things there maybe as well, but that's mad. Like, some statistics,
you won't get better than Tommy. Like, he just, as Joe know that he was involved, and even Christy, like, as I say about Christy, the two of them are together, knit together very, very well. Yeah. Like, the goal, as I say, wherever you see Christy, you see Tommy, but it's the thing that you get people like that are just chalk and cheese, and they're them. Like, when we were going well, I think we were playing Lockheed, like, and Christy we just got wind of the fixture that match was going to be in Newry. Christy was in the Jeep the next morning, so he drove the whole way to Newry, took pictures back at the goal, stand, everything, like, and it was just that time to us that was the norm for them. But like, in us, it was kind of crazy that he was doing these things, but that's going on the whole time now. Like, we done a trial run before the week before the Oak to get our times right. We had the meal, we stopped at the hotel, but these are the things. Like, it's only when you sit back now and look at it, like, they were mad times, and they were saying just we're crazy, but like they just had everything to a T, and it's the same with this guy. Is Tommy? He loves the game, and that's what it is. It's not Nelson, the pure love for hurling. He'll tell him that, like, whatever happened with injuries and that, he didn't get to play, so this was the next best thing. So it is. And it's the same with Christie. When Christie retired, Christie would love to be still playing. So he would, but when he retired, this is the next best thing, and he will do everything in his power to try and get outside, whether it's a club or when he's involved with the county team, to succeed. And there's nothing else about it, only to succeed and try to make that team as better than when they took it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Not too many have mastered what they're mastering. So fair play to them. You know what I mean? A lot of lads, as James said previously, like the idea of it rather than actually going and doing it kind of. So fair play to them, and we wish them the very best luck. So that's Saturday, and then Carron Down is Ballycrown 1:00 on Sunday. Frank, we'll get you on again at some stage. Thanks for joining us on the Hurling Show.
Right. Thanks very much.
Good stuff. We'll say good luck to Frank, and that's it for the Hurling Show. We're now going to move on to the Football Show, and again, this is also an association with Solar Signs. Just a reminder, number one for signage, garment printing and embroidery, solarsigns.ie is the website, and you can get them on Facebook and Instagram. And thanks to Nigel once again for looking after us there. Time for the Football Show. Tommy Wogan, how are we doing?
How are we doing, Kev?
Thanks for jumping on. You're back in the big time, so we said we'd give you an old swan song.
Yeah, thanks very much for that.
Yeah, so for those that aren't aware, so you're back with Hurlo and back with Éire Óg for 2022.
Yeah, back for a go. I've delighted to be back. I think it's a great move on Éire Óg's part to get Hurlo back into it. He eats, sleeps, and drinks Éire Óg. He's a very passionate man, and he'll leave no stone unturned as regards preparing this team for the coming year. And I'm looking forward to it. Just a lot of young lads coming through there, like, so looking forward to getting in and working with them, like,
Yeah. So is this your third stint, Tom?
Oh God, I've lost count now.
So you won a championship. I'll jog your memory, right? So you won a championship in 2005 when you beat the Blues in that real tone setter and a change in the territory, right? And then you beat Pal in 07 and 08, I think, in back-to-back finals, correct?
Yeah.
You won it in 2012 then against Pal. That was your second stint, I think. You took a bit of a sabbatical in between, did you?
Not sure now whether I did or not.
9, 10, and 11. You were definitely with the Carolina Miners in 2010, so I don't know if you were still with Éire Óg at that point. So
yeah, I think I was going between the two, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So it might be only your second stint then.
Second stint, yeah. But it's,
first one was a long one. It seems like it's your third. You're so long with the other one.
yeah. Jeez. It's nice. It's nice to get back at, like, I haven't been down there for a while, like, but I always kept in touch with it, like, and kept an eye on them, over the years, like, went to the games and that. Just so. Yeah, look, it's I have to say it's a clean slate. Just go in and we'll have a look at it,
So the mad thing is, obviously, we were ruling the roost over what was going on in the club scene last year, and now you're in the fire line all of a sudden. So, yeah.
Sure. Look at I love the game, but Éire Óg gave so much to me. It gave so much to me, and if I can give it back to the club in any way at all, I'd only be too glad to do it. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you or the lads here would never know anything about me, but for Éire Óg. Because Éire Óg has given me my name out there, and I've always very much appreciated what Éire Óg gave and done for me. So if I can help in any way, I'm going to do it.
And did you miss coaching in general, Tom, over the last couple of years? Because, like, you stepped away a year before Turlough did, so you're gone since what? You're 4 years away from really, like 3 or 4 years, like.
Yeah. I stepped back and it was nice too, like, to see other people in action and looking at other people doing their thing, like. It's different. It's moved on. It's moved on coaching wise. It's moved on again, like,
Even in that 3-4 years, yeah.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. Like, the prepping for games and all that. Like, it's you have a lot of work to do. Like, but I look forward to it. Look forward to get the car going again now and up the road, track a few teams, see what they're up to.
Yeah.
Spying in a few
look at.
bitches.
I know, never done that. I always went in the front gate. Sometimes it mightn't have been open, but I always went in the front gate, like, the best I could, like, But no, look at lads. I've always loved the game. I've always loved being involved in helping and guys and in coaching and that, and so yeah, it's lovely to be back at, like, especially with Éire Óg, like, it's where it all started for me many years ago, like, involved with under 10s and that in Éire Óg, and as I call it, the ladder, I worked up and down it, like, went from under 10s up to the senior, back down to minor and all that, like, and I just got pure enjoyment of it, like,
And the managerial merry-go-round on the club front is obviously in full swing. Another Éire Óg man has taken over Loughlin Bridge, replacing an Éire Óg man too, Damien Farrell, and I think it's good with him. Like to see Damien out there.
Yeah, best of luck to him. Best of luck to him. A good man, good lad. Very honest, very hard. He's a very hard working lad, like, and a very genuine guy, like, so, and he's been there, he's been around it as well, like, so he knows his stuff, like, so the very best of luck to him out there.
I'm not sure about other things nailed on what's happening, what's not happening. I actually didn't realise this, but we looked for Daniel St. Ledger to pop on for a few minutes. He's with Sylvester's. He's over Sylvester's this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Good man.
So the best luck to Daniel as well. He's up that direction. Obviously, it's probably maybe a little bit easier to take on a team up there than just to try and get up and down and make that commitment.
Yeah, he's teaching up around there, so it makes sense for him to do it, like,
Is he the only Carlow man coaching in Dublin? We've heard Joe Murphy to St. Jude's, but I don't know if that's signed, sealed, delivered.
Didn't hear anything there, no. Didn't hear anything, no, about that. No.
Yeah, rumour mill is obviously in full swing, but in terms of players, there is one thing confirmed. So Lee Walker to Greg Cullen.
Yeah, I just heard that last night. Yeah. Strange one.
Yeah, after something different, I suppose. Anyway,
yeah.
A lot of lads have. You think of Willie Quinlan went to Greg Cullen for a while. Derek Hayden went to Killeen. Leo Turley went the other way, obviously, and was a very prominent player for Éire Óg. I'm sure there's loads more.
Sure was, yeah.
He went to Collection. Only joke. The biggest junior C transfer you'll ever get.
Where did you go, Joe?
Nowhere. The physio bill went up about 4 times, I'd say, Kev, when you were right there, huh?
Loughlin Bridge paid him big money to take it away. But anyway, scrapyard fees. So, going back to the action then, I suppose, and the here and now, league campaign, obviously, didn't get off to a wonderful start for Carlow on Saturday against London. And the first thing I want to put out there, I'll give my own views on it, right? So, in terms of, we'll deal with the actual game itself and then the subsequent kind of outrage, because there's a lot of people annoyed, but I'll give my views on that, and then you can jump in as well, right? So, having been there tonight, obviously, Carlow built up a command and lead, played some beautiful attacking football. Jamie Clark very much at the forefront. I think maybe out of the first 1-5, I think he was possibly involved in 1-4 or the 1-5 or something like that. Yeah. Kicked a couple of great scores. Beautiful passing to Hulton for that goal. Just beautiful attacking play. And funny enough, Tom, kind of almost I won't say almost the opposite of what you used to do, right? But we always said for years that forwards were kind of tight on forwards, and then the forwards looked so good that we're like, geez, like we great scoring forwards. And then what happened is, I suppose, the turning point was Jamie Clark getting sent off, right? So, and we can talk about that in a few moments' time or whatever. He went, but with that straight away, almost Carlow seemed to adopt, the whole thing of conceding the kick out, and they'd done so good, Joe, hadn't they, on turning over that kick out in the early parts of the second half. And with that, I suppose they were whatever 10 points up, maybe, or whatever it was when Jamie went. I don't know, was it 10 when he went, but they were 10 up.
7 up.
7 up, was it? So possibly felt even at that stage that maybe there was enough done that would just sit and try to sit out. But they invited London on probably, and I think in the end it may have went against them in that they got opened up and exposed. Okay, so this brings me on to the other point, which is, you know, a little bit of context, because people are forgetful of who we've lost. Right, there's a big change in personnel from the time you were there, Tom. You know that. We all know that, right?
There's a huge change. Huge change.
The spine is gone, right? So,
yeah,
like, we have a brand new fullback and centre back in never played county football before. We had Darren Curran making his league debut as well, right? Like, Liam Roberts was knocking around with G guys, but now he's set to the cornerback, so it's his.
He's established now. He's established.
Yeah. But still inexperienced enough in comparison to what has gone there before. Shane Buggy's now to it as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, then going up the far end, Josh Moore is in a different position. He's not exactly a veteran either with Carlow. He's only there a couple of years. Yeah. And like Shane and Jamie are probably two of our obviously most experienced players now, because they've been around for quite some time. So I think we have to understand where we are. And yes, people say you shouldn't be losing to London. Why shouldn't we be losing to London? Like, we were there the other day and we were bet because we deserve to be bet. But have a little bit of understanding for the young guys that are there and give them time to learn, because they haven't played at this level. Like, even though London didn't have a game for a couple of years, Gavigan is a centre forward. And interesting with him, he's London born and bred, no GA roots, I believe. And Killian Butler's there. They're around a long time, like. So I don't know. I didn't walk away, and Joe, maybe you would have a different opinion. I didn't walk away from Dr. Cullen Park overly disappointed Saturday evening. I think if it happened in 12 months' time, I'd be saying, right, okay, I'd be maybe of a different opinion. I just think these guys need to be given a bit of time, and we have to accept that rightly or wrongly. Is that something you go along with, Joe? Haven't seen it, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, before we get into the game, maybe the bones of the game. It's like everything, you know. What did they say? You're only 6 inches away from clapping the back or kicking the arse. And I think, like, had we hung on for that, you know, people are saying everything, you know, a good start to the league, and, you know, things were going well and so on. And you know, but people, like, you have to, like, what you alluded to makes a lot, like, is like very straightforward, Kevin. I mean, you go down to that panel, and I'd say if you counted up the 24 that were named or 26 that were named at the weekend, and you were to count up even minutes at senior intercounty football, or even minutes on a named on a 26 panel, you wouldn't be counting for a long time in terms of even in the substitute bench in terms of depth and strength. So the lads you have to be patient, you know. I think at the minute, and I made the point on Saturday evening when we were in there looking at it, or sorry, it was during the Kildare game actually. I made the point that you know, like intercounty football isn't, you know, it's not our intercounty commitment, and we talked about at the start of the program there. Like, it's not for everyone, and I think a lot of our footballers, some of the lads maybe who are more prominent, maybe, you know, I'm just thinking of, say, someone, you know, take Brian Murphy, take whoever, you know, excellent all year, but, you know, a lot of our maybe better club footballers at the minute are at, you know, have given a huge service to the county, and are now in a different space in their lives, and they cannot commit. And it kind of reminds me, we talked about there about Offaly hurling, you know. Offaly about 3 years ago did a massive kind of, I won't say a clean out in their panel, but they kind of had a real, you know, look at where they were going. And they actually got, if you remember, they went down, you know, down through the grades. They started Liam McCarthy, into Joe McDonough, then into, you know, Christy Ring, you know, but they stuck with the youth. And even though a lot of the more prominent club hurlers at the time, and the clubs who were succeeding in Offaly at the time, were backboned by older lads, and, you know, lads who'd given their time. But they had to stick with the youth, because those were the ones who were committing at the time, and it pays off. And I think we have to be patient with these lads. We can't be, you know, throwing, as I say, the baby out with the bathwater after one league game. I think Tommy will remember, like, even Tommy, you'll remember a couple of years ago when you were, you know, kind of that, our Carlow team was kind of what we call at his prime a couple of years ago. that London, like we only bet London by a few points, maybe 5 or 6 points at our best, like, in
Yeah.
league. If you look back at our recent enough
Yeah.
league games,
And by a
So
point
we-
in championship as well over in Islip, yeah? Remember
you
that?
know, so
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I mean, context is a big thing here, and patience is a big thing. And I think you have to give the lads, their patience. You have to be patient with them in terms of even their physical development. I think that was one thing we saw highlighted probably against Kildare, especially where we are physically in terms of our preparation. That doesn't come overnight. You hear lads, you would have heard lads there on Saturday night, saying about, we're too small and we're too this. Lads aren't going to get huge overnight. They're going to need a couple of years of strength and conditioning, as Tommy well knows more than anyone. And we need to give them that patience and that bit of space.
Look, first and foremost, to all them lads that togged out against London, heads up, well done. You played some fabulous football, right?
Yep.
I am tired of this thing of sniping at lads when they're playing with the county. We need to get behind these chaps. They're a young team, right? They're going to develop, right? They need positivity around them. They need encouragement. They need people, getting behind them. Even within their clubs, the Keegan Bradleys of this world, the Shane Buggies of this world, Jimmy McCabe, Murta Ware, Conor Doyle, all these, they're young lads, right? Okay? They're learning the trade at inter-county level. It's not easy. There'll be bumps in the road for this panel, but I would encourage them. You stay at it. You stick together. You work hard together, and you'll reap the rewards. It's never easy at inter-county level. But when I see people, passing or making comments about these chaps, it just makes my blood boil, because these are great lads. I mean, it's kind of common. When Jamie got the red card, Jamie didn't lose the game for Carlow. He got sent off. He got a red card. Jamie plays on the edge. He's a great player. He's a phenomenal player. And I see these things like, people want to sit down and realise that, that these are chaps. These are young lads, and they're giving their all. They're giving a phenomenal commitment to Carlow football. And we need to stay behind them. Right? I've been there, and I know what it's like. It isn't easy. I see guys travelling from Dublin there for training 2 nights a week. I see lads giving up holidays. I've seen lads, putting off going on holidays so they could commit to Carlow football and give it a go. So this is a young team, and I admire the likes of Dara Foley and Dara O'Brien. They're in there, soldering with these lads and bringing on the next group of lads. You're right, Joe. As regards their physique and all that, that's not going to come overnight. There's no magic wand for this stuff.
No.
But if you look at yesterday or that game, all 6 forwards scored.
Yeah.
They all scored. So the potential is there.
Yeah.
It's going to take patience. It's going to take time. But I would encourage them lads, stay at it, work hard. You're obviously going back into the pitch, and the likes of Simon Ray and these boys, they've been around as well. They know that them boys are hurting, and the areas where they probably fell down, that they can get into the pitch and correct it. You alluded to ourselves with my time with Carlow, where we were probably more defensive. And what people didn't understand and didn't grasp is we weren't overflowing with forwards. We were heavily reliant on Paul Broderick up front and Darrell and that, and we played a system that suited us at the time. But what we were trying to do is, first and foremost, make us difficult to beat or to get scores off of. But we were hoping to progress that on to bring in, find a forward, go looking for an extra forward, the likes of Jamie Clark, the likes of Shane Clark, and start introducing them into inter-county football. Shane came on against Dublin in a more part of it. And you gradually bring these boys into it and feed them into the system and get them going. Like Conor Crowley. Conor Crowley is playing very well. Colm Hulton, 1-5, And sadly, we're not talking about Colm Hulton. He scored 1-5.
Brilliant.
We should be talking about Colm Hulton. We should be talking about Conor Crowley. We should be talking about Josh Moore. Great lads. So there's been some great stuff. I just wholeheartedly believe it's so important. All these guys, Liam Roberts, Kieran Cunningham, and all, the people within their clubs, get in behind them boys, encourage them, be positive with them, and we will get there. It won't be easy, but we will get there.
And I think, Tommy, what you said there is true. And it's kind of a contrast to where you were and the lads are now, and we have to be mindful of that. You said there about bringing in one or two lads, like the current management team. The current management team and the players are, you know yourself from playing even, and you come into a settled team, right? There's lads there. I know, and you mentioned Dara and the two Daras and a couple of lads who have experience, but we've a lot of lads. Like there's maybe 10 plus lads coming in there, and they're finding their feet. And like what you said, it's admirable. Some of the play, like a lot of the play there, the good stuff there, was admirable, and that they had the confidence to to do what they were doing, especially in the forward line. But lads have to be mindful of that. Like what you said there, it's not just one or two changes to a team. In the space of 3 years, we're probably talking 12 or 13 changes. And
huge changes, huge changes.
And by the way, I have to say, it does drift down to our clubs. Like, I mean, I'm only talking about my own club, Fenna, and it's we're so proud, like, of our we 5 lads in the panel potentially. Jesus, like it's years ago since we had that, and it's such a it's a great sign, by the way, for our club who wouldn't have had too many. We'd have Sean there by the by, and but now our own club, like you said, we've more role models there for our younger players to aspire to. So look, there's positives. Look, but I think patience is the big thing. You have to be patient.
It's the same with us though, Joe. Like with having Ed Lillis there, like we've known since Johnny Kavanagh out in Loughlin and that's 2005 or 2006, and Liam Brennan obviously played in a World Cup game as well. That's massive. Like that's worth so much to Loughlin Bridge, right? Because when lads come on, all of a sudden they have someone to look at and look up to, and I'll have a bit of that. Like I remember when I was a kid, like, and I was going to games and seeing Johnny Kavanagh. You have a man from your own club there. It is special. It does mean something to you, and it does drive you on because you want to be in that position. You know what I mean? And even the simple little things where you come across them. I can remember something like my father went down to do a bit of work at Johnny Kavanagh's house, and I was probably 8 or 9, and there's Johnny Kavanagh, and he's a superstar to me. Like, you're looking up at him, and that was why I loved Ray Keane. But that is your Ray Keane on a local level on your doorstep, right? So that's the big lift that it gives. And I suppose to go the other side with this, lads, as well, right? Having spoke to Simon Ray, which we're going to hear the interview in a few minutes' time, a 6-minute piece we put on Instagram. We're going to put out live on the show as well. Like, there's one player from Palatine, I think, and I don't think there's anyone from Tinryland. And we're talking about Fenna and Loughlin Bridge lads putting themselves forward. There has to be a bit of an onus and a burden on lads to maybe that are of the age and that maybe haven't given a bit to maybe start giving a bit or to give about thinking a bit. And it's a bit contradictory because on the hurling show we said you can understand why lads don't. And that's fair enough too. But I'm talking about lads in that context largely that have given and did for a long, long time. We just need it to happen. You'd hope that lads that are of the ability and of the calibre would like to maybe think about applying themselves to it while they can for a couple of years even, because the lads that are gone, Tom, like the Redmonds, Ledger, Broderick, Brendan's not there. They're kind of once in a generation players. Like they're super. You know what I mean? They're unbelievable players. And we're without Gannon at the moment. We're without Jordan Morrissey at the moment. We're without Ross Dunphy at the moment.
Yeah.
Key players. So that's why we come back to context a bit,
Yeah, I think Kevin, apart from the experience there that you mentioned there as well, in terms of our game plan, and Tommy mentioned about the evolving, nature of football. I think even the level of physicality that we lost in those lads is massive, isn't it? Like in terms of even that physicality, that because it is a war of attrition. It's there's a lot of banging and hopping, as I say, and that even level of physicality that we're missing, apart from the experience, is
I'll tell you where that's evident, right? Because I'll be straight honest. I wasn't at the Keogh Cup final yesterday. I was on a scouting mission, just seeing how our own Larry was getting on with Clayton yesterday, because obviously we're helping out a little bit there this year. But it was one of the things that struck me. The size of the Loud boys were unbelievable. Now, they didn't obviously win the game, but they were even physically stronger and bigger than Laois were, because obviously Mickey Hart is in his second year or whatever, and the boys have, you can see the benefit of it. Even with just 1 year of that under your belt, going into year 2, you can see the difference in physique. Like, it was actually scary. It was frightening. When Conor Grimes came on, Tom, I didn't see him for a long time, actually. I think he took a sabbatical for a while. Jesus, a monster. Kieran Byrne, like, AFL, the big men, Mulroy. Mulroy is actually only, is Mulroy only his mid-20s? I think someone said that yesterday, and I was like, jeez, like, he seems to be around forever, and he's a big guy. But like, you look at, and I'll use Keegan Bradley as the example, because he's as tough as nails, but he's a lot of beefing up to do. Like, Boogie is strong. He's a lot of beefing up to do, and that's another thing that doesn't come overnight. Like, so I think we're all in agreement that patience is needed anyway. So maybe we can probably move on from that a little bit. But it's probably a good time to hear from Simon Ray, lads. So we'll give this a blast here. Simon Ray, disappointing result. We looked in a good position. I think maybe 1-10 to 3 points at some stage there in the second half. What do you think went wrong?
It'd be probably too easy to say the game changed on Jamie Clark sending off. I think, Kevin, being honest with you, I think when he was sent off, it was 1-10 to 6. They had got a couple of scores in a row, but from us going from doing everything very, very well to losing Jamie was a massive impact, because everything was going through him. He was the link man, he was pivotal, and I think it probably we our own lads kind of went into their shell a little bit when it happened. Obviously it galvanised London, and they got all the energy from it, and it was very, very difficult to stop the wave that they threw at us, and we kind of did, and we got a score. They got back to 2, and we ultimately down and got a great score. And then obviously, look, it's too easy thing to criticise referees, but I honestly, Kevin, think some of the officiating and decisions today were very, very disappointing. Don't like criticising referees. They have a tough job, we understand that. Obviously, you know, if they're constantly getting criticism, no one's going to want to referee games, but there has to be, you know, some sort of thing to look at. Like, some of the decisions there, I mean, I think the free count was something like 29-13 in London's favour there, just looking at the free count. So, like, that says a lot as well, and I thought they got away with a couple of things, you know, and we weren't. But that, again, that's probably an excuse, but it's a huge learning curve. Let me focus on the positives. Let me focus on young Derek Kern, young Shane Buggy, young Jamie McCabe, Keegan Bradley. It's a huge learning curve for those lads. Like, there was 5 lads there that made their inter-county debut tonight. I think none of them are probably more than 20. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So that's a big positive. It's a steep learning curve. It's a tough one to take, considering, as you said, the position we were in. But look, all we can do is go back and look at the analysis in the video and try and work on the mistakes where we fell down in the second half. But there's no question that the sending off had a huge impact on the bearing of the game.
Are you of the opinion that probably was a red card?
I actually didn't see it, Kevin, and that's not to do a cop-out on it or anything like that. According to Niall, he pushed your man kind of just underneath the chin. Your man went down, obviously overplayed it, and sometimes, you know, that's probably what you end up getting sent off. But anytime you raise your hands, you're running the risk of that happening to you. So look, I think Jamie would be very disappointed himself. You know, he wouldn't want to let the lads down, and but it's a huge impact on the game, and it's bitterly disappointing to take, because it was a right game. We done a lot right, and as I said to you, a lot of positives for the younger guys, and considering the lads that were missing that are to come back into the team as well, it would have been brilliant to get off to a great start and have 2 points heading to Sligo next weekend. But you know, we just have to accept it now and move on and get back on the horse on Tuesday night, and we've a tough game up in Sligo next week, and we'll bring the same energy we brought today to that game, and you know, hopefully we'll have a couple of lads back that were unavailable today. We might not, don't know yet, so but we look forward to that.
Yeah, and lastly, just to finish up, like, just to touch on a lot more of those positives, like, I thought the forward play was really commendable, and we put together some really good scores actually. And it's funny, because we went a lot of years criticising our forward play, maybe that seemed on point, and then obviously once or twice we're probably a little bit open at the other end. So I think if we get that balance right, we're not looking too bad. But there was major positives. Was just probably trying to shore up things slightly, I'd imagine, which obviously is not incorrectable, I suppose, for want of a better phrase. But I think the lads, while they have to learn, I suppose, they're going to have to try learn quick, which is a kind of a harsh thing, but this is the demands of inter-county football, as you would have known from your time coming on, and no tougher test, I suppose, in Sligo and Markovic.
Yeah, and just we have done a huge amount of work on our forward play and our forward setup, and when you have, I suppose, the forwards calibre of Crowley and Foley and Hulton and Clark and these guys, like, you have to use them, you have to get the best out of them, so you have to try and set up in a way that suits them. Some of them are not the biggest guys in the world, so you have to play to their strengths, but they have pace and have power. So we've done a lot of work with them. We've obviously worked too on the defensive side of things as well, so it's to try and get that balance where you are secure, and we did that for most of the game, and we were in a brilliant position, as you said, say 1-10 to 3 up. But, you know, as I just go back to it, the sending off probably sucks to life, and those younger guys, you know, they'll probably go back into their shells then, and maybe they stop doing the things they were doing so well because we're a man down now, and no, everything tightens up, and that can happen. And as I said to you, we just have to accept it and drive it forward. But those guys will learn. That's a huge learning curve for them there tonight. But, you know, not one of them took a backward step. That's the most important thing. And them lads hopefully are going to be in a Carlow jersey for the next kind of 10 years. You're hoping we need to build on that, and that's where we're at. We're obviously dealing with a lot of injuries. A lot of lads after stepping away that gave great service. John Murphy, Paul Broderick, Shane Redmond, to name but a few. And these are the next lads coming in now. So that's what we have. We're working with them. They're working extremely hard. And with young guys as well, you get ups and downs with consistency, you know. So, and that's the most important thing. But the good thing is that they're like sponges at the moment. They want to learn, they want to do the right thing, and I'm sure that they'll improve, and they'll be looking, you know, to come up next weekend and put a couple of things right. But obviously it's a difficult place to go as well. Obviously Sligo, we played them in the league here last year, and we had a decent result against them. But like, it's going to be difficult, but we'll raise the boys up Tuesday night, and we'll get going again.
So Simon, pleasure as always. Thanks for chatting to us. Alright.
Thanks, Kev.
Here we go. So that's Simon Ray. Yeah, look, it is what it is. The sad and unfortunate thing is we are going to be without Jamie Clark, it looks like, for the Sligo game. Now, I think there might be an appeal in process there. The unfortunate thing is, like, if I'm to call it straight, I think it probably was a red card. Joe?
Yeah, from our vantage point, it looked, Kevin, and I know from appealing from last year, unless it's very conclusive that there was no hand raised, you know, you're probably in bother. We hope, you know, I thought there was a hand raised myself, and I know Jamie, I know a long number of years, and I thought just when he walked away from the incident as well, you know, I thought he was kind of looking sheepishly. I think it was just rash, you know, whether there was a punch or whatever thrown. But I think when you raise your hand, maybe you're just leaving yourself open for a ref to interpret it as something maybe then it was more than it was intended to be, you know.
Yeah. Did the London player raise his hand?
Look,
like, why did he react? Well,
you see, the context of it was, right, so, you know, when Jamie went in with the tackle, it looked like a closed fist, right? So then the flare up kind of happened after that. And then from where I saw it anyway, it looked like there was raised hands. So you can call it a push into the cheek, you can call it a strike, but I think, as Roy Keane would always say, if you put yourself in a position where you could be sent off, you can't really have any complaints.
Right?
So you can call it harsh, you can call it lenient. It probably was a red card. Just being brutally honest about it.
Once the hand goes up, you know, it's very hard. But...
And I think you mentioned it, Tommy, and we mentioned it as well. You know, we know Jamie's not, you know, he's not a dirty player or anything like that. He's a great.
No, he's not.
He's so wholehearted, and he was having such a dinger of a game. And I think you mentioned it there as well, and we mentioned it before about, you know, certain players play on that, not on the
net, on the edge.
You know, in terms of, it's because of their commitment. It's because of, you know, that fire inside sometimes. And I mean, I know we talked about losing the man and it not being the losing of the game, but Jamie at that stage was our key creator. He was busy around the middle. His work rate, his pressure on kickouts. You know, it was a big hole to fill after he left, and he'll be a big hole next week to replace in terms of you know, who steps into that kind of, you know, that role, that number, that 11 kind of role, and that playmaking role, because like his pass for the goal was just unbelievable. You know, a 40-yard pass
Yeah.
into Colm Hulton drifted across the goal, you know, onto his right foot, and there was absolutely no saving it. But Jamie spotted that. He gave a couple of good balls into Crowley in the corner. You know, he'll be a big miss now if the appeal doesn't go his way. He'll be a big miss for the weekend.
Yeah, see, Jamie is going to be is he's probably going to be one of the guys that the opposition is going to be looking at down the line, like, you know, as a guy that, you know, you need to give certain attention to, and that possibly be a man marker specifically to go on to Jamie. So what Jamie has to, he's got to be prepared for that pressure coming on him, and he's just got to deal with it in a better way. And I know he will. Like, I know he will. I know that the chap is probably hurting after that. Like, you know, I would say to you, Jamie, if you're listening to this, you know, just roll up your sleeves, get back at it, and, you know, I know it's not going to happen again, but don't stop playing the way you play. Stay playing the way you play, because I would never take that away from any chap. Like, I mean, he's an exciting player, and look, it's just a blip.
Exactly.
He'll bounce back. He'll bounce back.
Tell you what we lost the other day when we lost him, right? And this is how good he is. And I said this to Joe. We lost at least 3 things, right? A tone setter, a playmaker, a score getter. You know, that creative spark, and a brilliant tackler as well. He's a very good tackler, high up the field.
Yes.
So when you lose that, like, that's what you lose. So I hope he gets back. But to talk about Sligo a little bit, right? And the league in general, I suppose. Now, I'm going to be very straightforward, right? Before the ball was thrown into the day or a ball was kicked, I think, you know, I certainly didn't expect Carroll to be promoted. And I think anyone that did expect that is very, very unrealistic. Because for me, with this league campaign, based on what I saw in the World Cup and the personnel and all, what I would be looking for with Carroll during this league campaign is to just be competitive in every single game. And if we can get a result or two, fair enough. But that's where we're at, right? Like, it's not like comparing where you guys were, Tom, in 17 and 18. You know, that was an expectation because you were building, okay? But this is completely different. So I'm of the opinion that if we can get a couple of wins and be competitive in every game, I think I'd be happy enough and content with that. But I don't know what the goals are from Niall's point of view and Simon's point of view and Robbie and Victor and all the lads. But I would say that's probably where we should be at. And I think I'm not going to tell the public what they should or shouldn't be thinking, right? But if you have a bit of sense about you, I think that is probably what you should be thinking, because that's literally the situation, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but I think, look, I'm sure, look, I think when you're involved with any team, you're looking to get yourself into the latter stages of the league, hopefully to get into the playoff or you know, to get to the top of it if you possibly can. But there's going to be some tough games coming down the tracks from, like, you know, Cavan is not going to be simple, Tipperary is not going to be simple, Sligo are not going to be, you know, there's tough games there. But you know what, lads, that's what it's all about. You know, if you want to play at inter-county level, you want to play these teams, you want to play the best teams around, you know, in that league, and they're coming up against some very good teams, and you know, I think by the time this league campaign is over, they will have improved as players, as individuals. They will improve. They will have learned a lot, and they will be the better for it. You know, it's a learning curve for a lot of these guys, and I think they will. I think they will bounce back, like, you know, and just stay at it, you know,
But isn't that the real mark of progress, lads, in reality? Because you can have your short-term goals, your medium goals, your long-term goals and all this, right?
Yeah.
As I said to Simon, we've stressed on the whole point of patience, but I also said to him about lads learning, and they're going to have to learn quick. So I think the real mark of progress at the end of this league campaign is how quickly those lads have learned and what they've taken from it. Are they making the same mistakes? Are they not making the same mistakes? You know, if they go and make some sort of an error, which, let's face it, we all make them, and it's happening for the first time, fair enough.
Yeah.
We learn from it, we move on. If it's happening game in, game out, and day in, day out, over a period of 6-7 games, then you'd be kind of saying, right, lads, hold on now. So I think that's fairly credible, isn't it? Is it not? No?
Yeah. It was. See, it's when they get back into the pitch, this week, and obviously they'll go through their video analysis, and they'll look at the areas of where they need to improve. I think forward wise, their shooting was you got the 6 guys scoring in their forwards, so obviously the ball going in there was good ball going into the forward line to create the scores that they had. If there's an area that they'll probably have to work on is when you get a lead, to lock it down, just frustrate the opposition, and to just basically protect your lead, protect it. You'll see all counties doing that now. That
I'm going to jump in, right? Sorry, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Right? So, would locking it down have been continuing to press the kick out the other day? So that sounds very, very stupid now. But
yeah,
we actually tried to say it, okay, which a lot of teams would lock it down. But can you interpret locking down as keep doing what you're doing?
I would say, when Jamie went off that time, right? First thing that possibly could have done, the man down is not on every kick out, but you pick your moment on a kick out where you just push up, you press up hard, you push up, you flood it out, and go to war, seeking you go to war in the middle third.
For occasional
go to war in there.
Yeah.
Sorry?
For occasional kickouts, not for
yes,
everyone.
Yes. No, you don't do it for everyone, for every kick out. But you pick your moments when on a kick out where, say, for argument's sake, if Carlo had kicked a bad wide and the ball goes over towards the corner flag, bang, react straight away, push up straight away. You got the time to get your players up, squeeze up on every player, go man to man on them all, and let's go to war in the middle third.
I think the other night there, I think you alluded to a couple of points there, and even Simon Ray did as well about the younger lads learning. I mean, I know as a management team, you can only do so much on the sideline, and our natural thing is to come back. I thought for a couple of the London kickouts, like London had 2 and 3 men free, if you get me. So they were able to really, I call it nearly the 3-man weave. They were able to bring those bodies further up the pitch. And I thought we needed to press a little bit, but I thought then what that did was, it was interesting then, like obviously London, as I say, smelt blood too and put a good bit of pressure on our kickouts, and we kicked a few long at that period as well, and we got turned over on them as well. Do you know what I mean? So it was interesting just how the mindset kind of changed a little bit, where London became the aggressor, if you get me, on our kickouts as well as well as their own, moving their own ball. And I think when we did near towards the end of the game, we got a bit of joy. We actually started pressing up in the last while, when the game was even Steven, we actually pressed up a little bit more when we were chasing a score to come back into it and win it. We pushed up and we actually got a bit of joy again, in it, but like I said, I think some of that comes with the experience on the pitch too, or maybe the lads learning from it and knowing when. I'm sure you had the case, Tommy, where some of your older heads when they were playing maybe might have made a call like that in terms of maybe when to press, or that you might and you trust her. Sometimes you trust their judgment on the pitch because you know the vibe of the lads and the experience that they had and they knew the system, whereas maybe the thinking with the newer group of players was a different default, and we have to be understanding of it. We have to be understanding of the mindset that they're in.
100%. I mean, they're learning. It's back to learning, but there's so many things now, restarts. Restarts is a buzzword now. Let it be on the kickouts, let it be on a sideline ball. A sideline ball is your possession. So you can't just kick. You can't just drive a ball off the sideline up the pitch. You need to have a system in play for restarts, where you're getting a player freed up to get the ball into play. Likewise with Kieran Cunningham. Kieran is, I'm sure, will be working very hard with Kieran on restarts. You're getting them out quicker. If it's not on, then obviously you go long. To So there were a lot of little things like that to work on, like, I mean,
Do you know what I spotted the other day as well? Sorry, and
Right.
I did get it some way consolidated afterwards, right? And it's not actually to do with Jamie McCabe. It's actually the role of the centre back in general, right? So no matter who it is.
Yeah.
It's funny, Joe, because I said this to you during the game. In the first half, when we were on top by, what were we? Maybe 6-7 points up. I'm always looking down the far end at the defence to see what way are we fixed if we're going to be turned over. Even when the ball's at the far end, and sometimes I'll miss a score. But I just want to see what way are we set. So Jamie McCabe the other day was actually, it's about keeping him free anywhere, or keeping the centre back free. And Shane Clark is coming back kind of and looking after centre forward for the most part, it seems. But I asked, to see, is Jamie actually meant to be sitting a little bit further back in front of the full back line, or is he meant to be out where he is? So he is, okay? And where I see that becoming a difficulty potentially is you can get caught in no man's land, no matter who it is, right? So that ball can be actually bypassed. Again, you get up to put something on the lad delivering it, and you're also not back far enough to cover off.
Yeah.
And I do think that we suffered a little bit in the second half with that the other day. And again, it's not the actual player, it's the role in which that number 6 is going to play, or how the lads have done it. So I think that's something that maybe might be looked at. Maybe they don't feel the need to change. Maybe there's a better way of kind of carrying out that, or it's up to the lads, obviously, but it's certainly something that stuck out for me now.
It might be something that might be something like, you have, I know looking back, we're all experts looking back, but maybe if we were going to sit back the other night, I thought maybe, young Conor Doyle, I thought he did, I thought he was okay, he did okay at centre back against, not saying Jamie did that too wrong or anything, but in terms of maybe when we were,
you need experience at that stage, kind of,
I thought we needed to maybe just settle it down and block them out. A lot of their scores did come, I once said they were quite direct, and I thought maybe Conor's influence around the middle, Conor Doyle's influence around the middle wasn't as great as his influence maybe at centre back. I know it was against Kildare in a different context now, and I think, but again, that's a learning thing. The lads are looking at, you're not just juggling one piece of the jigsaw there. You're making multiple changes, and I just thought maybe in terms of maybe Conor's experience of playing at, I know Jamie's played obviously at a very high level as well. But Conor's played with the county champions this year in that role, very experienced there. I just thought they might have met, and that might be something again that management are learning from with the group of players as well. It's not that Jamie did that in particularly wrong or anything, but you might just, Conor might just have that little bit of extra experience in terms of even position and how he plays there more so at the club football level as well. But I mean, it's I suppose, like we said, we are showing a few men around there. If you put in, the likes of Ross and Jordan and a few more lads to come in there, they give you a lot more options, especially, if you put a Ross Dunphy in there in that space, as well, and maybe potentially in a half forward, maybe I don't know whether he's right or not for the coming weeks, but maybe even I don't know either. With these lads, there's a lot of key names that could come in and change the whole dynamic of that team in terms of personnel and position and so on as well. And I think that'll be interesting. Sligo is going to be a big ask at the weekend. I mean, did a great win down in Wexford Park, I think, wasn't it, at the weekend? I think they went down one down there. That's a big fill up for them. We would have been hoping maybe Wexford might have turned them over, and we might have got, if we had got our win against London, maybe your mindset is in a slightly different place. But I think Simon's point there was right, in terms of the boys just have to put that out of their mind now. And we're back at a fresh start.
Yeah, it's gone. It's no point in dwelling on it again. It's all concentration now is on Sligo, and hopefully I don't know what the story is with Jordan Morris here, or if Jordan is back in it, or Ross is even back. It's going to help. But they also, if they do come back,
they'll be able to find out for us. If we knew that over the road, they'll be able to find out for us.
No comment. No, but I mean, if they come back, and you take, the likes of Jamie Clark will be gone. You have a guy to fill in there straight away. And by bringing back the likes of these lads, the panel's going to get stronger as the league campaign goes on, because you're going to be getting some of these lads back, hopefully. So
onwards and upwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Look, we'll leave it there, lads. Leave it at that, I should say. Solar Signs, our sponsors, thanks again. Basic Finance are number one for signage and let you in the sector as well. Karen, Brendan, and embroidery. Teacher with the hand up. This is role reversal. SolarSigns.ie is our website.
Teachers coming in.
SolarSigns.ie is the website. Nigel will kill me. And Facebook and Instagram, you'll get them on there as well.
Same as the lads in my class. You still talk over me as feckers.
Yeah.
No, just a couple of things. Just Kev, just in the football front and the hurling front, actually, just from the school's point of view. Just a big well done. I know there's other schools on the go, but just that are in my head there at the minute. A big well done to Kalash Owen from Hackstown. Did a good win in the South Leinsters, and they're gone into the Leinsters now. And wishing them well. A lot of Clonmore lads obviously on it, and then there'll be a couple of clubs from across the border represented as well. So well done to them. They always fly the kite well for Carlow schools, and my own school, the CBS, were come up against a very strong Gorey Community School last week as well in the South Leinsters. But that's progressive stuff for Carlow, that we're getting that their school schemes are very competitive. And just on the hurling point of view as well, Gael Colossia, Preds Gael Colossia won the Leinster C1 hurling, which was brilliant for them. And I know ourselves and Tullow play in the C1 Shield final on Friday. And I suppose Boris and PDLS and schools like this are always tipping away nicely. And it's just nice that, some of the other schools from a hurling point of view are putting up their hand again in the bigger picture of Carlow Sports and Carlow GA. It's great to see because, we need all the players developing. And that was all. And by the way, can I just say one last thing? It was brilliant. It was brilliant to see all the people back in Dr. Cullen the other night. It's great to see faces. It was a brilliant weekend for me. €10 for 2 matches. I had a great time. I don't go out anymore. Don't go to the pub anymore. Don't do any of that. Matches are my new social life, and it was brilliant to see all the faces back there again in the usual spots. And I'm looking forward to a great year in there this year, following McCounty.
Likewise.
Kevin, just congrats to young Amy Dooley out in O'Loughlin there.
Oh yeah.
She won the cup. She won the cup there with Glanmire. A huge achievement. Absolutely delighted for us. Lovely girl. She played very, very well, and it was lovely because my wife Mary had the privilege of lifting that cup many years ago with Castledermot, and Mary has followed Amy's career for, all the way. Like, she's gone to Amy's matches down in Cork and all that, and from all the Wogans to Amy and her mum and all that. Congrats, we were delighted for her.
And Molly Scott as well, All Ireland.
Molly Scott,
the records is smashing.
Great job.
We're looking at Molly Scott. We're not doing too bad for a small county, are we?
No, we're not. We're not.
Good stuff. Well, listen, we'll leave it at that. Just a little reminder as well, something we've kind of added in there. So there is a link under the post. We're out live on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube for a Buy Me a Coffee thing. So obviously we make the content freely available, and the lads are giving up a lot of their time as well to come on and have done for some time. So the content will stay free, but for the price of a coffee, if you want, you can donate there. And you don't have to. We'll still make the content free. But Joe likes no latte, and I think Tommy likes a cup of tea as well. So.
Right, I'm empty.
Come on, Joe. Yeah. Come on, Joe.
Yeah. So we'll leave it at that. That's the end of the football show. Thanks a million, Tommy. Thanks a million, Joe.
You're welcome.
Best luck this year, Tom, with them boys. We might get you back again for another little visit if you can spare us time. You don't have to tell us any deep dark secrets. You're already telling us about Jordan and the boys. So yeah.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks again. And we'll chat to you soon.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
God bless. Bye.